very, very dangerous.
Dangerous?
Very.
How come?
Well, when I was in Miami for Taste of the Caribbean, I got cut on my finger from the chainsaw. The ice can cut you. The saws that we use are very sharp. Even the hand tools are very sharp. So you have to just know how to handle the chainsaw and how to work with it, how to position it in order to actually get the masterpiece that you're looking for.
We're going to talk more about this art form, this profession, this certification, and certainly your journey and your plans to, I believe it's later this year, to go off to college to be certified in that art. How long have you done it?
I've been doing ice carving. I started in 2011 at the Sandals Royal Bohemian, where Chef Sucru, he actually taught me how to do it, and now at Luciano's I don't do it as often as I would like to. But with my boss Lorenzo he's mentoring me and pushing me in the way in which I need to go towards that.
What I like about your uniform, by the way, and it always gets my attention, that on uniforms, the Bahamian flag is there. It's in a place of note, and it sets apart any other uniform. It says something to me about your sense of dignity and pride in being Bahamian. Or is it that you had to wear it anyway?
No, it's not that. I'm oh so proud to be Bahamian. There's no place in the world like the Bahamas. I went to Miami and I couldn't eat because of the food. I was like, oh my God. When I came back to Nassau, the first thing I went for is Bamboo Shack to get my chicken in the bag. I mean, I was on Facebook and I saw the Olympics, and when they put that the winner of the men's 4x1 would get Bamboo Shack for life, I was like, those guys better work it.
That indeed. A young lady who she knows about traveling the world, about impacting inner city youths, about impacting youths, period, about the ability to communicate, articulate, and then also to persuade. Dr. Bo, there are so many things that you have done around and outside, beyond the borders of the Bahamas, and yet, even with all that exposure and opportunity, you've decided you've got something that you want to bring home. This Ida brain drain will not include you.
Absolutely, Kirk, and I'd like to answer that by reading an excerpt of one of my 5 books that are yet to be published, and it says, in uniting feelings and thought, it must be understood that feelings drive rational thought. And I think back to myself as a child. When I was at Shirley Primary, living in St. James Road, I didn't have a sweater one day, and my teacher, Miss Mathias, I wish I can find her if anybody knows Miss Mathias, she gave me a sweater. Now the sweater was green, and our school uniform was brown, and they teased me incessantly. However, I valued that sweater from 3rd grade through about 6th grade when I left Shirley Primary. That instilled in me a sense of pride that somebody cared about me when my mother had to go off to work. She wasn't there for me. Teachers back then did not say, oh, we need parental involvement, because it was a fact that parents such as my mother could not be there. My father could not be there. Even though I went on to become a chemist with Syntex Pharmaceuticals, when I went back to school, I did a lot of volunteer work in the inner cities of Miami-Dade County, and I saw myself over and over again with children with similar fates, and I decided to give back by becoming a teacher. And at the time I said, oh, I'll teach science for 10 years. And I'm still into it. I've gone into middle management. I have, as I said, done extensive research on emotions and learning. What I like about emotions and learning is the fact that it is, as you say, it gets rid of that brain drain. We do not take into account that, and my master's degree in biomedical sciences, I focused on neuroanatomy, and what we do not take into effect is that the emotional pathways of the brain are what control every other pathway in the body. So emotional pathways will, by default, affect learning pathways. There are 8 achievement emotions that I studied in my PhD research, and there are 5 negative emotions and 3 positive emotions. The 3 positive emotions are pride, hope, and joy. The 5 negative emotions are anger, anxiety, hopelessness, boredom, and shame. Now, I would garner that any teacher or anybody listening to me can say, if you corner a child in a classroom or any other setting, the first thing they're going to do is they're probably going to feel hopeless or shame. That is going to build into anxiety and anger. And before you know it, you've lost a child out in the streets or in the classroom. What my research showed was that it wasn't anger, anxiety, hopelessness, or shame that stopped students from learning in my population of inner city students. But it was, in fact, boredom. Students told me that they did not feel a part of the process. They did not feel culturally a part of the process. Then I reflected back to the teachers that I had. My science teacher, Mr. Mike Bancroft, again, I hope you're listening. We had no equipment at C.I. Gibson. He pulled out a prism out of his pocket one day, held it up to the light, shone a simple flashlight through it, and I saw a rainbow come out on the other side. As a 7th grade little kid who had to take my lemonade to school in a little mayonnaise jar, and God help me if I broke my jar because I had no drink the next day. I had to fold up my wax paper, my brown paper bag. That's how I ate every day. But Mr. Bancroft instilled something in me when he said, "This is science." I was moved. And that passion that welled up in my emotional pathways in turn drove my learning pathways. And I saw this over and over again in the inner cities. And this is what I want to bring home. I want to bring home my research. I want us to understand that we need a student-centered environment. I remember when public schools were the norm, not the exception, Kirk. And if we can get that back, if I can just do my little part to instill in everybody that every single child is worth reaching out for, I am living verification of that.
That is profound. I feel the need for us to have a future show where just you and me sit down. We got to talk some more about that as well.
Oh,